welcome to another video. My name is Cheryl, and this is Cappuccino Crafts, my little channel on YouTube where I like to chat and talk about books and crafty and creative things when I'm working on them. And yeah, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I have been away from my channel for a long time, um, and I did not plan to take a hiatus. There were just a lot of things going on in my life and with me and my family. So yeah, I just needed the time, and yeah, I really can't. I mean, so it's been months and so much was going on all at the same time, so I can't really give you a catch up really on all the things. But I am doing okay. Um, I I do want to let you know that a couple of people have checked in, and that's so kind and so thoughtful. I am really I'm touched by that, and um, really that means a lot. And yeah, um, I really don't feel like I'm able to talk about things. So I'm sorry. I can't really explain myself very well, but there were some big changes, big transition, and so much, so much. So what I thought I wanted to do today is just say hello, give a little chat, and then give a bit of a book haul, because over the summer and maybe in September, I started putting books as I bought them on my desk for a haul. I had in my mind to record a book haul. And so they've been sitting here for months, and so I'd like to do that as a start to coming back and making videos. I don't know if I'll be doing videos on a regular basis, or if it might still be irregular for a while. We're just gonna have to take it as it goes. But yeah, today is the 1st of November. So we are well into fall. I am wearing one of my favorite fall colors and a cozy sweater. And I had a very cozy lunch today. I had a ham and cheese croissant from Starbucks and a decaf almond milk latte from Starbucks with a little bit of toffee nut syrup. And then in my fridge, I had a tub of some prepared soup, some autumn squash soup. So I had the squash soup, the ham croissant, and the decaf latte, and it was lovely. It was like fall on in a meal. It was so warm and cozy, and I've been having a very relaxed day today, and so I thought, let's try and see if I can record a video. Let's see how it goes. I hope you're doing well, and Yesterday was Halloween. If you celebrate Halloween, I hope you had fun and enjoyed sweet treats. I did buy some candy because our neighborhood doesn't get busy for trick or treating, but we get occasional, like a few groups. Um, and so I did have some candy just in case, but barely anybody came. There's a lot of leftover candy, and I just bought my favorite candy, so there'll be leftover candy to last for uh, a while. Um, and I will be sharing it too. So I won't be eating all of it, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about new books. Well, some of these are used, but they're new to me. Even the ones that are used are new to me. And let's start. Um, this first uh, set of books are from one day. I took a day. I forget even what month it was, but it was sometime in during this time, and I needed a nice day, and I needed to do something. Yeah, I needed a break, and so I drove to the farther away indie bookstore that I really like, and near that bookstore, I found out that there is also a half price books, like within a mile. So I went to both bookstores, and it was like a treasure trove that day. I don't always find a bunch of things that I want and like have this kind of a shopping day, but everything came together that day. It was meant to be, and it was a lovely day. So the first stop was the indie bookstore, and these are the three books that I got there. This is a collection of short stories. Uh, the Way Spring Arrives and Other Stories. And these are, it's an anthology from different Asian female and non binary authors. And a lot of it is translated. Um, and there are also several essays in here as well. I think the essays may be by the translators. But I know at least one of the essays is by one of the translators. I am very excited to read these short stories. They are, yeah, all sci-fi and speculative short stories. And look at this cover. This cover is so interesting and beautiful. I love this cover. Um, and then I got The Mermaid of Black Conch, or Conch. I am not sure whether it's Conch or Conch. I think it might depend on where you're from uh, as to how you pronounce it, but I wanted to get this book for a long time, but it hadn't yet been released in the United States. And I just didn't feel like I wanted to wait until it came out in the United States. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. I didn't have a deep reason, but that's just what I wanted. So, um And this cover is also beautiful. Look at that cover. Look at the colors. I love the colors. I love the mermaid. I love the whole thing. And I am excited. I've heard wonderful things about it. Um, it is set in the Caribbean, and it is by a Caribbean author. So that is exciting. And I just love mermaids. I really do. And then here's another collection of short stories. This is by Ken Liu. And it is The Hidden Girl and Other Stories, which is, I believe, his second and most recent collection. It is also like sci-fi and speculative. So you may be seeing a theme in this haul. Yes. The second bookstore that I went to that day was the Half Price Books, and I also hit the jackpot there. And I found this novella, which has been on my radar for a very long time. And I saw it here. And look, it has French flaps. It has deckled edges. And there is another cover that I also like. But look at this blue and the blossoms and the details of the flaps and the deckled edges. And I was like, no, this is the edition for me. And I am so excited to read this novella. It has been on my radar for a long time. It is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. I believe this is also translated. Yes, translated by Stephen Snyder. And it is the story of a retired math professor who has a memory disorder. So he has lost his short-term memory. And so she takes care of the house, but she also gives him a little support with some of his memory issues and helps with some of his strategies for that. And also she brings her son to work with her sometimes. And it's about the relationship that develops between the professor and the housekeeper and her son. And how even through the barrier of the memory disorder, they are able to find ways to make a real connection. Yeah. Not romantic connection. This is not a romance. It's just more of a human and found family, and it sounds like such a beautiful story that I really am glad that I have it in my library now. And I also got this on clearance, even though I hate the step back. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in paperbacks. I hate that. But this was on clearance, and it was like either $1.50 or $2. And I'm like, for that price, I can tolerate a step back for that price. This is a book that I've also been wanting to read, and I couldn't pass it up on clearance. And the last book that I got that day is another sci-fi. This is a novel, Machine Hood by S.B. Divya. this is a title that has also been on my radar, on my list of things I want to read someday. And it was there, and I got a deal on it, and I'm so happy about it. I believe this is about AI. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, AI and robots. So that's I really like AI and robot stories in science fiction. So yeah. And then these other books I got at different times. Some of them I ordered online. Some of them I got at another indie bookstore that I like to visit, the one that's closer to me. And I honestly, um, yeah, can't remember anymore exactly which of them I bought at the bookstore and which I ordered. So these are in no particular order. This is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Earlier this year, I read my first novella by T. Kingfisher, and I really loved the first book. It was the Raven and the Reindeer, and I loved it. This came out this year, I think. It's one of her more recent releases, and when I heard the blurb about it, it sounded like something I would really love. So here we are. It is like a dark fairy tale fantasy. Um, yeah, it's a dark fairy tale fantasy. Um, and then I got this, She Who Became the Sun, which is historical fiction with a little bit of fantasy. It's set in China. I have read this since I got it. Um, and I really liked it. Although I have watched other booktubers react to it, and it's gotten mixed reactions by people who've read it. And I think it depends on what you want from it. If you really want a lot of fantasy and a magic system and like fantastical world building, that's not what this is. It's very light on the fantasy. Really, it reads like historical fiction with very light decoration of a touch of supernatural, magical, um, but just a very light decoration. But really, this is a lot of politics, a lot of military, a lot of historical world building about this time in China. It is around the 14th century in China, in a transition between dynasties. The one dynasty is ending, and another is beginning to, come together to. So it's a transitional time between two dynasties in 14th century China. So if you enjoy historical fiction and you like political history and a little bit of magical realism, if you don't mind a touch of like magical decoration, I think you will like this. If you want like a full-on fantasy, and I think that's disappointing to some people. I think some of the marketing did a disservice to this book. But I really, really liked it. I enjoyed the characters. The characters are so well done. The history, world building is rich. The politics are very interesting, and the themes are really rich. And this was a debut book, and for a debut novel, this is incredibly impressive. It did not feel like a debut to me, uh, and I look forward to continuing. I think it was planned to be a duology, so there will be a follow-up book, and I look forward to reading that. Um, and then we come to my most anticipated release of 2022. I pre-ordered this. I was so excited for it to come when it came out, and I'm so excited. It is Babel, or Babel, however you would like to pronounce it. Again, I think it depends on where you're from. But Babel by R.F. Kuang. Oh, I'm so excited. The dark academia, fantasy, historical book with themes of colonization and linguistics and translation. I just am so excited, so excited. Yeah. And so people have been talking about this book so much, I really don't think you need me to say anything more. But I will be getting to this hopefully this month. That's what I hope. We'll see how that goes. But this is the most recent book that I picked up. It is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. And when I heard about this book, it just sounded so perfect for me. Again, it's Gothic, which I love. It is set in Mexico in historical time, and I enjoy like historical flavor and historical fiction in my Gothic. And the marketing is like Rebecca meets Mexican Gothic, and I am here for all of that. Even though I've seen the movie Rebecca, the old one, not the recent movie, but the old classic movie Rebecca I've seen several times. So I love the story of Rebecca. I have not read the book yet, although I plan to. And I have the book. I do own a copy of Rebecca. I have not read it yet. And I do also want to read Mexican Gothic. So I'm like, yes to all of that. And more short stories by Ken Liu. This is his first collection that was published, The Paper Menagerie and Other Stories. And this, I'm just really excited. So now I have both of the Ken Liu. They are together. And here is a collection of Ted Chiang short stories. The Stories of Your Life and Others. And this has the short story that the movie Arrival was adapted from. So I'm really excited to read that short story, as well as the others in here. Yeah, very, very excited. I really liked the movie Arrival. Um, and and these are all like sci-fi speculative. Um, and the last book is by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, The Yellow Wallpaper and Selected Writings. And this is a nice like penguin collection. Um, I like this. I want to get more books in this collection. They have other authors that are in this collection that I want to get. And I have already read The Yellow Wallpaper. I read it in university, but I loved it. It's a really great short story. It's like a gothic horror-ish short story, and it had a big impact. It was about women's mental health and the way that in Victorian times they would treat women who were depressed and how inhumane it was. And her short story, The Yellow Wallpaper, helped change the way that they stopped ordering that kind of treatment. They called it the rest cure, which was like extremely like to isolate them in a room, nothing stimulating, no books, no art, nothing to do, no activity, no people visiting, just and you can imagine how awful and how harmful that was to a depressed person. To yeah, so but she is a classic female Victorian author, and I am excited to read more of her writings. And that is my book haul and my first video back. If you are still watching at the end of this book haul, you made it all the way through. Thank you so much for your patience. And thank you for coming back after I was away from the channel. Thank you for coming back and watching another video. I hope you are doing well. I hope that whatever creative projects you are working on or whatever you are reading, I hope that you are enjoying all of that. And take care and see you in another video. Bye bye.